I'd like to introduce Joseph Alan Fears with the band Zafaja.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
That's how it's pronounced.
Okay. Can you give me a little background on the band and what you guys are doing now, where you're at with yourselves and your music?
Itself was meant to be an R&B jazz band. However, because of Salina and the areas that you have to perform in, you kind of have to do a little more than just R&B, than just jazz. Blues, rock, there's some country, there's several different styles that with this band we've had to do.
Country music inspired you with the lyrics of the songs.
Right.
And so what inspiration do you have for your sound?
That as someone starting to play music as young as I was, and preferably 9 to 10 years old, some of the styles that I would listen to were styles that back in the 60s where it was basically rock and roll. A lot of the music that came out back then was performed by artists that later on became big-name jazz artists. But they started out in those eras where they played the kind of music that fit the era. So my style is more of an R&B jazz style with the projects that I've recorded based on the background I've had from learning and getting inspirations from artists. In 1968, a year before we moved to Salina, Kansas, we were living in a town which is where I was born called Hastings, Nebraska. This town, there was a friend of the family that was in the Air Force at the time who called himself Steve Soul. Now, his part-time job was as a DJ, but he was like a master sergeant in the military or anything like that, so they had a little small reel-to-reel machine. And he had actually brought over a portion of his program where it had been taped, where he was in the air. And I heard his announcement, I heard the music that he was doing, and right from that moment I got inspired. 5 years later that I got into radio. And one of the first radio stations I had the opportunity to work for here was what's now known as 99 KG, which back when I worked there in 72 was known as just KSKG. He was looking for someone to come up with a program that reflected an urban-style music on Sunday afternoon. Kind of a little prep back then, though. He gave me some insights from a radio station that was out of Wichita, which is called KUYN, where they had already had a DJ that worked the same type of program that was basically an R&B urban music program. So I had a chance to listen to that tape and then go in and do my thing. And within 5 minutes, he hired me. So I was probably 14 back then, and I produced my own program, lined up my own music, and kind of took off from there.
So that was a great help for you then.
Sure, sure. I think it opened the door for my own personal inspirations in the music era itself, because there's so many different styles.
Speaking about inspiration, I heard an interesting story about your release, Picture of Love. Could you tell us about that?
Well, I released that in 1986, and the lyrics in the song, one of the first lines in the song basically say, paint yourself a picture of love for you and I to begin. The story behind the paint yourself a picture comes from a relationship I had when I was a young teenager with a girlfriend. And personally speaking, I don't want to say her name because she might not want her name mentioned, but you and I both know her. I see you smiling though,
right,
yeah. You and I both know who she is.
Yeah.
So, but she's a very good artist, and she kind of went on to be a really good artist. And so that was kind of my way for coming up with the song Picture of Love. And in the lyrics, I talk about her painting this picture of the kind of relationship, love, emotions, feelings that we have with each other. And so that's basically where it started from. Zafaja, I'm kind of like really optimistic and really thrilled and excited. You know more about me probably than any of the other guys that are in the group with me, so.
Yes, I do. What would you say about the energy of your band?
I think we're high energy, you know.
Very high energy.
You think so?
Oh, yes. I've seen you in action, and it's very good and very high energy.
go. We got to have you put your hands together one more time. We like doing this. It don't matter if it's 20,000 people or 20 people. We're still going to turn the mother out today this afternoon. Don't you think it's time for us to get the people on up? Don't you think so? Well, let's get them on up. Come on. You can't rap, right? Oh, but you never know. At the point where I might have to. I got a picture of me getting my Sony TV, getting the folks in stereo. But I have no time to enjoy myself, because I'm out here putting on a show. Listen to a part, you know I got a lovely view. I just come on over to my crib, girl, and it'll be about me and you. T96 with the music, and you know the song, because if you listen to all the radio stations that play this stuff, you know what we're doing. And it goes a little something like this. Help me sing this, fellas. You got to get on up. You know what we're doing? You ever heard it? You got to get on up now. You can't sit down. Got to get on up. Got to get on up. You got to get on up now. Sing the song, you can't sit down. Everybody grab somebody. You got to get on up now. No, you can't sit down. No, you can't sit down. Up now.
As far as where the energy comes from, I think the reason that there's, and we've had a lot of good rapport. We, of course, as you know, this year we did the Jam Fest that's sponsored by Hanson's, and kind of kicks off the festival for the 1996 festival. And the audience seems to have a way of giving you energy, but I think we were prepared because we were prepared to do 6 songs in 12 minutes in more of a metric style. And we were so energetic at it that I think later on we found out, and of course we read that there was an ad in the paper where someone had mentioned our name in the paper. Well, we kind of thought that was great, but at the same time we didn't really underestimate the fact that it would be noticeable, because since then we've played several places around central Kansas here, and there's a lot more to come. And this release that we've done is just another phase of the beginnings and the upcomings of the band Zafaja.
I've noticed in viewing your performance that you guys give the audience energy. You really get them, you get in action with the band, not only the band, but the audience also.
Well, to do that, I've found that what happens is kind of like our interview here. You have to have more of a personal approach to the people that come out to listen to us. And there's been times when we perform where there have been people that have never heard us before, and we try to leave them in a good spirit from the time we start performing to the time we end. You know, it's kind of it's like going to the fair for the first time and you've never ridden on a ride, but you're excited because it's something you want to do. So you go there and there's all the excitement, you get on a ride, you take a ride, you feel good from the moment you get there and the moment you leave. And so we kind of try to do that with a musical concept.
That's a very good description, because I felt highly energized and really good after your performance. So.
Well, I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, I really did. It's great.